Doesn't make any sense. I get blaming Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, that's where we should have started.
Let's talk about that.
That guy's
once it became clear from the shooter's manifesto.
I also think that this is the weirdest play to go back to this move. You already did the move. You've seen that ultimately the people stood with Jimmy Kimmel in this situation. So this move is played out for one, and you are not going to get the result that you want. You've already been proven. So why go back here?
Fool me once. Shame on you. You fool me, we can't get fooled again.
What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Trey.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Back at it with another video.
Another one.
Once again, thanks to everybody that's been subscribing to the channel. Obviously, I'm a new YouTuber, so it really means a lot, and it's helping me to grow. So thanks for all the love and support. But if you are new to the channel, go ahead and take some time, like and subscribe to the video. Today, we're going to be reacting to some Pod Save America, right? So it's no big surprise. Over the weekend at the White House Correspondents Dinner, there was an individual that was arrested. He's in custody. They released a whole manifesto and all that stuff. So that's going to be what we're focusing on with this video. But before we react to the video, I'm going to just let y'all know where I stand up front. There's way too many convenient storylines playing out here. I don't believe that this dude drove all the way from California on it, or not drove, rode all the way from California on an Amtrak with a shotgun, a handgun, some knives, like he John Wick. He rolled into the White House Correspondents Dinner, got him a room at the hotel, mosey on down, and decided the best way to get past security was going to be to beeline it, mad dash, to get to the escalator, go down the escalator, and pop a couple of shots off at this White House Correspondents Dinner. Shoot up whoever he was going to shoot up. That was his master plan. That is what he went all the way from California on an Amtrak with a shotgun, handgun, and knives. And his plan was he was just going to rush the door. Obviously, he releases a manifesto. There's a whole bunch of suspicious things that are identified in the manifesto. And I think, ultimately, this is another one of those cases that it's another attempt on Trump's life. That's what, it's being reported as. So, yeah, will he garnish any support from his following that may have been wavering or about to leave? That's where my crazy brain goes to. But y'all let me know where y'all head is at in the comment section. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the video.
Let's go through some of the reactions to the shooting, starting with what I think might be the strangest. Just hours after it happened, Trump, the acting attorney general, and dozens of pro-Trump influencers essentially made the argument that the best way to stop a bad guy with a gun is with a rich guy with a ballroom. The government is now asking the court to dismiss a lawsuit filed by preservationists to block the president's $400 million ballroom because they say it's essential to, quote, ensure the safety and security of the president for decades to come and prevent future assassination attempts on the president at the Washington Hilton. Who would like to point out some of the issues with this line of reasoning?
I just this is so dumb that I kind of can't believe that this is how they're harnessing an assassination attempt for political gain.
I know, it was hard to believe.
Why did the mindless MAGA influencers jump on? Is the argument that the president will never leave the White House again?
Right.
Just do events at this one ballroom? What about, is every event in the future going to be de facto government hosted or government sponsored? What about when he goes to the states to do campaign events and rallies and fundraisers? It's ridiculous. There's foreign trips, there's overseas speeches, even on the narrow point.
Real quick, it's another one of the reasons why I think it's all full of shit. Like, they're going to get into a lot of it, but the first thing that, they pretty much came out with after the fact is like, this is why we need the ballroom. Got to get this ballroom going. And then the MAGA influencers all follow suit and say ballroom, ballroom, ballroom. It's just immediately a talking point, right? So that's weird, right? Somebody just stormed a dinner that you're at, a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of journalists, all this different stuff, all these different variations of why this is a problem, and it's concerning, and you should be addressing the real problem that this even happened, right? But the first thing you go to is, hey, now y'all see what I mean about that ballroom. You see why the ballroom's important, right? The military said we need it. Secret Service said, everybody agrees that we need to have it. But now y'all see why. This is why it's important.
Point of like the Hilton and the White House Correspondents Association, they would absolutely refuse to host a press association speech at the White House on government property. So it was not even solving that.
So Donald Trump gets to control the invites. It's not his fucking event.
It's crazy.
And then now, so it's like basically I was taking it from the other point, which is that so now every time the president does an event in DC, the president's like, no, I just don't leave my house. You have to come to me because I have this. Also, the White House has been breached plenty of times, either by intruders who jump over the fence or by the Salahis in 2009.
Also, we live in a free society. Even when the Secret Service is talking about the Hilton ballroom, like, there's always the safest place the president could be is to never leave the White House again. But you do, and you do the best you can. You try to secure places. You figure out compromises so that the president can go where he or she needs to go, host campaign events, do OTRs where they stop at random places because they don't think anybody knows. There's all kinds of steps and layers of security that are about the balance between the president being in a fortress and us being in a democracy. No, the answer to the Hilton ballroom being kind of stalked by one fucking asshole is not that the president only hosts from this point on game night only at his house.
It should bunker.
It's ridiculous.
Also,
bunker it up.
Build your fucking ballroom if you want, man. Just do it legally. That's all we're saying.
Lindsey Graham's putting forward a bill to fund it with taxpayer dollars.
Right. And so that, they're going to get into it, but that's crazy, right? Yeah, if you want to do the ballroom, whatever. If Congress agrees on it, that's going to be a whole nother list of problems. But, I mean, that's your argument to make, right? You're supposed to go to Congress, plead your case on why it's important, and then, if you can whip the vote, so to speak, then so be it. But right now they've been going about it like, I think there's been a whole bunch of kind of behind the scenes donations and things of that nature. Yeah, it's a whole bunch of suspicious activity. And again, it's a ballroom. Nobody cares about that shit. We care about how are you going to lower these prices? How are you going to make life more affordable for the average American? Nobody gives a shit about your ballroom, especially not after we're supposed to be caring about the fact that somebody tried to assassinate you at the White House Correspondents Dinner. So what do you want? Do you want the sympathy, or do you want to sell? Do you want to sell me something? Come on.
Then no.
Unbelievable.
Right. If you want to
Didn't see him at the grinder party.
Fucking ran out of alcohol. But it's another problem. But here's the thing. No one is the ballroom problem is that he decided to bulldoze the East Wing without going through any kind of process. If you want to build your ballroom, do it legally. Go through the proper channels. David Fahrenholt at the Times just had a piece today or a couple days ago that the Trump administration basically is building this thing with a secret no bid contract after inflating its value by 3 times, and the government is paying also, not just fucking private donors. So there's a lot of problems. That's not just no one will let him build anything. It's you just don't want you to build it illegally.
Yeah, I don't want him to build it at all. But yeah, no, legally would be best.
Right, legally
would be best.
If he has the power to do it and it's legal, then he can do it, and we can all complain about it.
But the ballroom doesn't become less illegal because this horrible thing happened at the Hilton.
Exactly.
Right.
Republicans are also using the shooting to blame Democrats for not funding DHS, which oversees the Secret Service, whose employees won't be able to get paid after this week because they've been getting paid through Trump's.
So they kind of listed out, but pay attention like how the narrative is switched. And I started the whole thing by saying it, I think it's a conspiracy. I don't think this dude like really was ever in the position to possibly be able to hurt anyone. I don't think that was the play. Like, yeah, he had weapons. Yeah, he was there. And yeah, he rushed. He did the one thing that would ensure that he was never going to make it to a target. He did the one thing that would, ensure he failed at his mission, which is supposed to be to assassinate the president or, target, specific individuals that he thought were, complicit in Epstein and stuff like that. Right. But yeah, just pay attention to how they list how, conservatives and a lot of conservative influencers have changed the narrative like throughout this. So they're not even sticking to one narrative, which I thought would have been the plan if, considering I think this is staged. The fact that they're not all sticking to one message, I don't know what the play is, man. But I still don't think this is real. Not 100% real. You know what I mean?
Executive order that only has so much money attached to it. Only issue there is that Democrats and Republicans in the Senate did already unanimously pass a bill to fund DHS a few weeks ago. It's the House that hasn't done anything with it because they're mad about ICE funding. You guys think that attack will fly? They're all doing this today.
They're blaming Senate Republicans. Senate Republicans and Senate Democrats have a bill. They sent it over. And by the way, we're in the midst of what's supposed to be a process by which they pass that specific bill because they have another vehicle for the ICE funding. I think they just don't trust each other enough, or they can't seem to get their shit together.
It could be funded right now. People could be getting paid right now.
And by the way, on a path to, as much as we tried to stop it, Republicans in the House and Senate with 50 votes in the Senate funding ICE anyway. So there's no real excuse for this other than House Republicans can't get their shit together.
Again, in moments of scariness and tragedy, you got to pick your one cynical way you're trying to exploit the thing. You can't start with the ballroom and then go to Jimmy Kimmel and now you swerve back to DHS funding. I would have started at DHS funding and just hit that and tried to get a vote on it and got some funding, whether it's on the merits or not. But no, this is like the entire conversation is about political rhetoric, not DHS funding.
But this is the problem. They do have the votes. They're the reason. The only path to funding DHS is through a vote in the House. That is the next thing. There's nothing on the table in the Senate. That's it.
Absurd. It's absurd.
Doesn't make any sense. I get blaming Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, that's where we should have started.
Let's talk about that.
That guy's enough.
Once it became clear from the shooter's manifesto.
I also think that this is the weirdest play to go back to this move. You already did the move. You've seen that ultimately the people stood with Jimmy Kimmel in this situation. So this move is played out for one, and you are not going to get the result that you want. You've already been proven. So why go back here?
Fool me once. Shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
And social media presence that he was motivated by opposition to Trump. The focus of the right-wing reaction moved from the ballroom to the rhetoric on the left. Ballroom, actually, it's kind of died down now, right? We've moved past the ballroom now. Now we're big into the rhetoric on the left.
The ballroom blitz is over.
Yeah, just to give you a flavor of how understated the criticism has been, Senator Rick Scott of Florida said, quote, "Democrats want President Trump and Republicans murdered all across this country." Just normal. The latest round of this discourse reached its inevitable climax on Monday morning when Melania Trump tweeted out a condemnation of, quote, "hateful and violent rhetoric from Jimmy Kimmel," apparently a reference to a joke made last Thursday night, days before the dinner, where Kimmel delivered a mock address to an imagined correspondents' dinner. Here's what the joke, which no one had been talking about until after the dinner, sounded like in context.
I do have to ask, though, why do you hate windmills so much? Is it because they can still get turned on by being blown? Marco knows what I'm talking about. He's been there. But I do want to praise the POTUS. Look how far you've come. 30 years ago, you were just some rich guy on Jeffrey Epstein's private jet out of Teterboro, but you worked hard, you stayed friends, you shared some wonderful secrets, and because of that, you were able to fly on that plane 7 more times. Dreams really do come true. Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow. You know, Melania's birthday is on Sunday. That's right. She's planning to celebrate at home the same way she always does, looking out a window and whispering, "What have I done?"
So shortly after Melania posted, her husband jumped in, referring to the sketch as a, quote, call to violence. That was pretty clear.
Again, they love, for somebody that hates Jimmy Kimmel, they always know when he's when he's hitting them in the monologue or the bit or whatever. So I don't know if people, like, they just have somebody that's on the team that just goes around and watches all the late night and all the news and stuff like that, and they just give him a hate watch reel, like, sir, you know, this was really gonna piss you off. When he's in his tweet mode, I guess, or truth mode, you know what I'm saying? He's sitting down having him a couple McChickens or Big Macs or whatever it is that he likes from McDonald's, and they just give him the hate reel, and he just goes on and goes popping off on truth. Maybe that's what it is.
That's, quote, beyond the pale and demanding that Kimmel be fired. You guys think the Trump's latest attempt to fire Kimmel for a joke is going to work this time?
So the joke is that Melania doesn't like her husband and that he's quite old.
I was good. Yeah, Andrew Egger at the Bulwark, he was like, he said the trophy wife who won't be crushed when her rich old husband kicks the bucket trope is older than dirt. And I was like, yeah, that's sort of what it was.
But I also think there's another line in there that is what really bothered her, because there's a joke in there about Epstein introducing Melania
a lot of Epstein in there.
to Trump. And it's just like, man, you're taking another run at canceling Jimmy Kimmel. Like, dude, open the fucking Strait of Hormuz. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing here?
Cancel Khamenei. Yeah. So Kimmel, just for more context, Kimmel did the fake speech because there was no comedian this year because Trump is scared of comedy or jokes about himself. So they had Oz the Mentalist.
Yeah.
Real quick before they go in on Oz, which I don't know why Oz would look. I don't know his politics, and I don't know why he would be at the White House. But you know what I'm saying? I think I'm gonna stop being just. I'm not in a position to be canceling anybody for performing at White House events or Republican events or whatever. Just do you. With that being said, I've watched Oz Perlman I think it's Oz Perlman. Yeah, the dude, it's impressive what he can do, even if it is made up. I don't know if it's made up. I still believe. But all of that to say, this is Trump never really uses a different playbook, right? He figures out, he says a lot of things, and the things that get the most reaction, he just repeats them. He's just gonna add it back to the track list, and then he's just gonna play all the good ones. You know what I'm saying? Everything that's on the playlist that gets the crowd going, that's what he's gonna hit.
Wrote a song about it.
So yeah, if you pay attention to everything that he said on the campaign trail, he's still saying that same stuff today. They did a 60 Minutes interview. He was saying like all of the same things that he said on the campaign trail. So it's not surprising that he would go back at Jimmy Kimmel and say all of the same things that he said in that first thing, because he knows that in the beginning, before the boycotting and all that stuff, like, people were on his side. So if he can rile up his base to be upset at Jimmy Kimmel again, like I said, he's got one playbook, one move, and he's just gonna keep playing. You know, he's gonna keep using that move.
Do whatever he was doing.
Big whiff.
Yeah, didn't call the shot on this one.
Well, he doesn't predict the future. He can read your mind in real time.
He does
That's
tricks.
not really on him.
Yeah,
he's not a future seeker.
Could have been like, there's a guest in room.
Right, that's true. I guess he could have read that guy's mind.
But just like, again, it's all just so bad faith. It's like self-evidently bad faith. A few weeks ago, Trump tweeted that he was glad that Bob Mueller was dead because, quote, he can no longer hurt innocent people. That feels tonally off. And Trump has made a similar joke to what Kimmel just said there. Like last December, he did an event for members of Congress. Steve Scalise was there. Trump talked about going to visit Steve Scalise in the hospital after Scalise was shot. He said, Steve, I want you to know your wife was crying her eyes out, which means she really loves you. And then he goes, I know many wives that wouldn't be crying. Literally the same joke.
Nice.
Same Borscht Belt,
got him.
like
You got him.
hardy har
You
har.
got him.
You got him.
Secretly hates the husband. And so like, okay, you're really offended by this. But again, like if I'm Kimmel, I'm a little worried because your fate is determined by some executive that maybe he's working on a merger in Disney or some shit and like decides at some point that you're not worth it.
Mind you, let it be known that Trump also said something suggestive about Hillary Clinton back in the first race. We're saying something about, some Second Amendment person might, handle that or something like that, instead of waiting. All that to say, like, I don't know. And, this could be my bias showing. So by all means, y'all call me out in the comment section. And if I knew about it and y'all call me out in the comment section, I'll say, yep, I forgot about that one. But if I didn't know, I'm going to say I didn't know. But I don't know of Democrats or liberals. Well, no, I won't say liberals. I'm talking about politicians. So I'm talking about, congressmen, senators, presidents. To call for violence or insinuate violence or say, I'm glad that a person is dead or anything along those lines. So miss me with all the fake outrage and fake, clutching of your pearls and all that shit. Because he invented that. He's the one that made that great. I won't say great again, but he made it great. He made it a thing. And they do it on the right. I say way more. I can't think of anybody that's outwardly done that on the left. Now, influencers, streamers, things like that. Okay, yeah, sure. Or, people on Twitter, people on Facebook and stuff like that. Yeah, you might catch people being out of pocket. I'm talking about actual politicians that are elected officials, them coming out and wishing death on people. I don't know. I know what Mamdani has some controversial stuff, but I don't think he said I know he didn't say he wished death on anyone. And then they had somebody that was running in a special election earlier this year that had said some foul stuff. And I think I don't even know his name. He don't run in an election that I vote in, but those are the only controversial things I can think of at the moment.
You know who gets to complain about that joke? Is anyone who was complaining about it after he made it before the dinner. Like no one raised any objections afterwards. And remember, Donald Trump there were still 2 attempted assassinations when he made the joke. So it's not like anyone drew a connection probably because the 2 assassination attempts were like 600 days before he made the joke. But like no one said anything when he made it. And someone just, someone found the clip after the thing, picked it up and were like, all right, a thing to be angry about. Let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah, there's a real in the wake of these things. There's this like nobody, the internet. We're such a like kind of navel gazing and kind of like we have such like an immaturity about us that like we're not allowed to have any kind of uncomfortable feeling like this is just bad or that like it's more pleasant to be mad than to be scared or to be upset, whatever it is. And so people just go casting about for like the thing to kind of make them feel the normal feeling they feel in politics, which is just antipathy towards their political opponents.
I just like, we went through this, of course, when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and they all did we have to take the temperature down and the left's violent rhetoric and stuff like that. And let's say at that point you wanted to give them, because okay, maybe they want to bring the rhetoric down too, right? And maybe this is a good faith. Just bear with me. Maybe this is like a good faith objection here, and they're gonna really try. After that, the president called for members of Congress to be tried for treason, put to death, amplified calls for their execution. Literally said they should be hung. This was over the video of the illegal orders video. Remember, George Washington would have hung them. Treason. Celebrates the deaths of Rob Reiner and Bob Mueller. Stephen Miller told ICE agents they have full immunity to do whatever they want. A couple of them killed 2 Americans. Then the administration, multiple people in the administration smeared them, knowingly false charge that they were domestic terrorists. And then Donald Trump said, threatened to annihilate an entire civilization.
And also, even at Charlie Kirk's own funeral, Erica Kirk forgave his enemy, the shooter, and Trump was like,
Trump
I don't.
was like,
I
nope.
hate my opponents. I hate my enemies.
It's like,
There's
you know
no
what?
effort to take their tone rhetoric down.
And it's just the rhetoric either. Like he pardons violent criminals. He posts snuff videos of blowing up boats of fishermen. Fucking blew up a school in Iran. Has not even apologized or anything about that. I mean, it's just like the president and his party and the administration have done.
Yeah, we're going to have to stop this one. I don't want to hit y'all up. Definitely go and check out the rest of it because they kind of get into the conspiracy theory aspect of it all too. Long story short, most of the journalists and stuff like that, independent media and mainstream media, you know, they're not entertaining the conspiracy theory angle, and rightfully so. They got to be more professional than that. I think this is bullshit. I don't believe it. I don't believe the story that they spinning. And yeah, miss me with the rhetoric stuff. Like it's another one of those things. Like you can't keep telling me a lie over and over again and then expect me to believe it. I see it all the time. Y'all have done this more than once. Y'all have done this for over 10 years. It's your MO. It's not the Democratic MO. It's not the, well, you know, like I said, a lot of other people, civilians, so to speak, that are not politicians and stuff like that, just regular Americans. Yeah, they don't have to be professional and diplomatic and things of that nature. They can get online on Twitter because, you know, nobody cares what the hell you say on Twitter and stuff like that. But they can get online and be unfiltered and say some shit, sometimes with consequences and a lot of times without. But you know what? I'm not going to keep rambling on. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Because this stuff is wild. Do y'all believe that this is a real thing? Do y'all believe it was staged to try and garnish some type of support? But yeah, man, this is a crazy world we living in. You know, that's all I got for you. Until next time, I'll holla at you.
Hating on my energy. I don't think you wanna be my enemy. I pop out, they go wild, so celebrity. Too busy winning, I forgot that I got frenemies.